Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as it will be turning quite a bit warmer through this upcoming bank holiday weekend. Said we've got a lot of rain around at the moment, but is introducing much milder if not warmer air, so many areas perhaps in the south over the course of the next few days will be reaching temperatures in the mid to high teens, if not even 20 degrees in a few spots. Now we're going to be in a much warmer, milder air mass. There is the potential for some thunderstorms as well, and it's not clear how far northward this warmer air will penetrate. There are still signs that some areas in Scotland and perhaps northeast England could still hang on to the generally chilly Arctic air that we do have at the moment, perhaps through some of the weekend. But as we head into next week, as we'll see on the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles, all the longer range stuff, it is looking likely higher pressure will build in with a generally warmer upper air temperatures. Of course, there have been some hints and some people are saying there's some more Arctic air returning. There are a few minority runs going for that, but the majority have averaged to above average air masses, with the high pressure sitting over the top of us with more of a southerly or southeasterly flow potentially as we do head into early May. So it is luckily looking quite a bit better over the next few days and generally in the longer term as well. So if you are sick of the cold weather and the rain that we do have at the moment, it should be improving quite considerably over the coming days, bar from the caveat of perhaps some thunderstorms in places. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So do start on the live radar. You can see at the moment we've got two areas of distinct rainfall. We've got one through Scotland, again a weather front spreading in. Some of this was snow over higher ground, and there's still some blobs of snow here over the highest routes, but it's more turning to rain now as this is introducing slightly milder air further northwards, but we could still hang on to generally chilly air there over the coming days. Further southwards, this is where the proper warmer air is now getting reintroduced, and you can see that because this rain is very heavy, spreading to parts of Southern Ireland, into the Midlands, and some real heavy patches into central, eastern and southern England at the moment. It will continue to spread through the rest of this evening, and again much warmer humid air mass behind it that will be giving much better temperatures tomorrow, maybe mid to maybe high teens in a few spots, and then high teens potentially low 20s through the weekend. But once again, all is dependent on areas of showers, cloud and thunderstorms, as the air mass is still quite unstable through the weekend. High pressure will be building in, but it's not particularly strong high pressure at this stage, so there still will be some instability. So it is quite a horrible day out there at the moment. Cold temperatures still are prevailing at the surface, and there is a lot of rain, but we do need transition days like this where it is pretty horrible out there to get from those cold conditions to something a bit milder and a bit warmer as we do head into the bank holiday weekend. Now I'm recording this around 3:30, and you can see at the moment the temperatures aren't too great, but you can see they are rising in the south. More yellow is appearing today, again indicating temperatures perhaps into the low teens at best, maybe 12, 13 or 14 in the far south, maybe parts of Western Republic of Ireland there where we've got slightly brighter conditions. Further northwards and under some of the heavier rain here you can see in the southwest, conditions are still cold, high single digits, maybe peaking at 9 or 10 degrees. So it is still quite cold in places. We can see really warm to our south. You can see record-breaking heat wave at the moment down across parts of southern Spain, 40 degrees, potentially a few spots here, perhaps near Seville. So we are got very warm air to our south, so it does mean any southerly flows will be very warm over the next few weeks, giving temperatures into the 20s at least. So we will have to see what happens, but it definitely will be getting a bit better over the next few days. Now, if you put on the UKV and have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, you can see at the moment we had a bit of snow across Scotland early this morning, but now turning mostly to rain. And through the rest of today, we just can see all these pulses of heavy rain spread through. It will give more pretty miserable conditions. Pretty much all areas will see some rain and some miserable conditions overnight tonight. And as we head into the afternoon of tomorrow, you can see it's brighter, a little bit sunnier in places. Still some cloud and still some lingering rain in a few spots, and some thundery showers breaking out across the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. So that's the first signs of that instability through the weekend. But generally Friday will be a much better day, mid to high teens quite widely, and it will be pretty decent. However, as we head into Saturday, again, fairly sunny, but more showers around and more heavy thunderstorms in places. Again, banding up at times, especially for Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, perhaps into parts of Wales, the West Midlands, and North West England. Again, it could occur in slightly different locations, and it's over 2 days away, so things still can change. But at the moment, these look like the prime conditions where we do see some breaks in the cloud, more sunshine, allowing more convection to take place. But where we do avoid those showers, it will be quite warm. As said, it could reach 20 or 21. Into Sunday, we still see a lot of instability around, perhaps more low pressure system approaching from the northwest, a bit of a weak trough there. Again, heavy thundery showers through Sunday afternoon, again, generally in northern and western areas. Bit more cloud around, so it could hold the temperatures back a little bit, but still generally a warm air mass, so temperatures likely to get into the mid to high teens or even low 20s once again. And that does last into Monday too, where it will be a much brighter day with less showers and thunderstorms as the high pressure does build in, and that could be the pick of the weekend with in terms of sunshine and dryness. Again, we'll have to look at the temperatures just see what they're reflecting, because of course it could shove that warmer, humid air mass away, giving dry conditions, but not quite as warm. So you can see it is thundery over the weekend in places, but overall, weather fronts are halting and it is generally going to get drier for many areas. So we do put in the upper air temperatures. You can see that cold air getting shoved away at the moment, but it will linger across the northeast over the coming days. You see into Friday, much warmer in the south, but still holding on to some of that colder air in the north, as I said, and it will give much better temperatures tomorrow that we'll have a look at in a minute. Into Saturday, it's still that cold air lingering, perhaps eventually getting shoved away into Saturday, and many areas will be really quite warm. Upper temperatures around the 4 or 5 degree mark, again a good few degrees above average. Into Sunday afternoon, again fairly warm, 3, 4, 5 degrees at 850 HPA, and that continues into Monday, but we do see a slight transition of air mass perhaps in the north, so as I said, it will be drier, it will be much brighter, but there could be less warmth in the air. Again, we'll see that in a minute. And eventually, warm air is continuing to waft up from the southwest under generally an area of higher pressure. You can see 1,026 millibars. Again, anything around 1,010 millibars and lower we'd associate as being more towards the lower pressure end. A weak low pressure, but low pressure nonetheless. So we are well above that, so firmly into higher pressure, but nothing amazingly strong at this stage, but strong enough to give a much better Monday and most likely Tuesday as well. Now, if you look at the 2 metre temperatures now, and you can see through the rest of this afternoon struggling in most areas, sort of 8 to 12 degrees, really not particularly nice. Overnight tonight could be a bit of a frost across Scotland and a few sheltered areas, but temperatures should generally be rising for many areas where we see the milder conditions move in. And you can see tomorrow afternoon, perhaps widely mid to high teens, maybe 18, 19, or even could squeeze out 20 degrees somewhere across southern and eastern England and across the Republic of Ireland as well in a few isolated spots, generally though more around the mid-teens. Into Saturday, those temperatures don't fall too low, maybe mid to high single digits, and into Saturday afternoon, another quite pleasant day. Again, it will depend on the thunderstorms, though. You can see the warmer conditions are much more patchy, with areas of sort of 14, 15 degrees between them, and again, that's where the thicker cloud and thunderstorms are. But once again, seeing widely 16, 17, 18 degrees at top temperatures, maybe 19 or 20 in a few spots, and that will continue into Sunday, where once again, temperatures will rise to around that mid to high teens, maybe not quite as high as 19 or 20, but still 16, 17, 18, which with the strong sunshine this time of year will be plenty warm out there. So do go out and enjoy this weekend if you do avoid those thunderstorms. Of course, keep an eye on the radar for those. As you head beyond that into Monday, again, another very warm day in the south there, 18 to 20 degrees widely through the Midlands, southern England and eastern England, and parts of the Republic of Ireland too, and perhaps parts of South Wales there. Again, also that sunshine, even though the upper air temperatures are slowly dropping a little bit. So yeah, it's looking much warmer over the weekend. As I said, we've got the caveat of the thunderstorms that will give miserable conditions locally, but the overall trend is for it to be quite warm this weekend, quite sunny, and fairly dry if you do avoid the thunderstorms, which from the latest UKV look like they're occurring mostly in the north and the west. But again, that can change and will all depend on the positioning of instability, upper troughs, and of course sunshine, which does trigger these showers, especially this time of year. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So of course, make sure you do keep up to date with the update we'll put out tomorrow for some of these thunderstorms, as position kind of moved, and we may even see a Met Office warning if we do see a continuation of this trend, and perhaps strengthening in the certainty of these thunderstorms. So you now have a look at the longer range though, as we do head into early May, heading towards the last month of meteorological spring, heading towards the time of year where we start to expect properly warm conditions to prevail more often than not. This is the time of year we start to see temperatures more widely, pretty much every day in the mid to high teens, and getting up into the low 20s. And by the time we get to July, the average temperature in around the south and east is 21, 22, 23 degrees. That's the average high temperature. So we are trending towards that. So May, mid to high teens will start to become the more normal, whereas at the moment it's been a bit of a warmer spell compared to what we have had. So if we look at early May, you can see generally high pressure does build in over this weekend, but it's not a particularly strong area of high pressure, and that allows that instability in those thunderstorms to occur. However, in early next week we see a much stronger high pressure system build, and you can see generally east to southeasterly winds, generally pretty warm, pretty mild. Perhaps small upper troughs coming in for a time, and right at the longer range low pressure breaks through from the Atlantic, but until around the 8th or 9th of May it's fairly warm and it's fairly dry, and again this is pretty much the reliable time frame. So the GFS up until day 10, the reliable time frame, is pretty warm and pretty dry in general. Again, as I said, small upper troughs, but the upper air temperatures are still really quite pleasant. Again, you can see the upper air temperatures here, perhaps peaking at 5 to 10 degrees at 850 HP at times. Could see briefly cooler air masses, and especially into longer term, as we see low pressure return. But as I said, in the reliable time frame, really quite pleasant widely. This beginning temperatures pretty much every day, mid to high teens or low 20s, again depending on sunshine amounts. If you look at the GM, see how that does compare. Again, high pressure building in at the moment. Again, not fully established this weekend, but becomes more fully established next week. But the GM does something interesting. The runs I was mentioning at the start of the video, which were showing something a bit colder, that some have suggested we could see a bit more of an Arctic weather as we head into May. That's what the GM does here. It's a minority run, very unlikely to come off, but it builds a high pressure slightly further northwards and allows an upper trough to develop through Scandinavia and parts of Europe, heading towards the UK, giving us generally cold conditions through the first week of May. Again, it doesn't really change this weekend's weather, but it does into the middle of next week. We start to see that cold air return for around Tuesday, Wednesday time. -5 isotherm could push back in for end of next week. Again, it won't last all too long because the air is warming up considerably with the sunshine this time of year, but it will give a general chill to the air that we've had quite a lot the last few weeks, and we are, fingers crossed, hopefully going to get rid of. So we can't completely count this out, but I would say this is very much a minority run that we'll just have to keep an eye on over the course of the next couple of days. And obviously what the ECMWF is showing, that does compare. Again, high pressure building in. Again, weak upper troughs during this weekend, give some thunder activity, and then generally high pressure sat over the top of us all the way to day 10, where eventually low pressure could run in off the Atlantic, but you can see it's not dominating, not spraying through very quickly, sitting more out towards the Bay of Biscay and out towards potentially the Azores there. And what this will do is it will keep us fairly warm, fairly dry, but we'll have some instability in the air, and most likely it will be a big shower and thunderstorm creator. This is a typical thundery pattern in the summer, where you see low pressure sat out to our south and our west, high pressure to our east, wafting up very warm air from our south and combining with that instability, producing big thunderstorms. So that's something we do need to keep an eye on. Again, you can zoom into the United Kingdom look, and you can see we are generally under high pressure, generally under quite a warm air mass there, but it is really that low pressure that will be driving heavy showers and thunderstorms. So ECMWF is still generally very warm. Again, the 10-degree isotherm in there, perhaps at middle of next week. It's fairly dry, at least initially, but could introduce those heavy thundery showers around that day 7 to day 10 range. Once again, as we do see low pressure potentially trying to move back in. Now, if you finish by having a look at the ensembles. These are the latest GFS ensembles, and you can see the trend of generally average to above average over the course of the next few weeks. You can see precipitation is quite low next week, potentially some heavy thundery showers over the course of this weekend. You've got the rain at the moment, this spike here right at the moment, and then these other spikes through the weekend into Monday are the heavy thundery showers that could be occurring. Again, big uncertainty with that. We'll just have to see. As we enter next week, there's a good 2 to 4 days there of really quite dry conditions before some precipitation does start to occur. But once again, it's quite uncertain with that, and we'll just have to see. The general trend, though, for the first few days of next week is drier and quite a bit warmer. Of course, the GM run did go down to -5 at 850 HPA, and you can see no signs of that within the day 10 time frame. A few anomaly runs right in the longer range. The majority have very warm and generally drier conditions, of course, with showers and thunderstorms occurring at times. And that will be reflected in the 2-metre temperatures. Again, you can see those 2-metre temperatures comfortably in the mid to high teens, and quite a few of them at times getting towards the 20-degree mark. And again, ensemble members are normally underdo those temperatures a little bit. They're normally more moderated. They don't get it quite as cold as it sometimes gets, and they don't get it quite as warm as it generally gets. So it is moderated, especially this time of year where sun strength does have a big influence on those air masses. So likely here, more often than not, to have the potential for 20 degrees with a lot of these ensemble members. And if we do finish by just looking at the ECMWF ensemble members for the midnight run, and it is pretty similar. Of course, being 50 ensemble members, there are a few more colder runs around that 4th or 5th of May where the GEM run went, but the majority are average or quite a bit above average there. Some even getting to a 10-degree isotherm, which would give temperatures potentially into the mid-20s with that sort of outcome, but the majority around the 5-degree mark, which is generally high teens, low 20s at this time of year. Again, a dry spell there for 2 to 4 days before precipitation does pick back up, but we are there getting towards sort of the 8 to 10 day time frame, so it is quite a long range, and we'll just have to see what happens in the near future. Generally warm, there will be generally dry conditions, but there will be quite a few heavy thundery showers occurring that could put a bit of a dampen on some of your bank holiday weekends. So it is looking generally better over the next couple of weeks. Again, we can't avoid the rain and the thunderstorms completely, but it's looking quite a bit warmer and generally drier than it's been recently. So hopefully there's signs to come of something better as we do head into the last month of May. Because although the CET, the Central England temperature, has been average to slightly above average so far this spring, it has felt quite cold. It has felt very unsettled as well, with a lot of rainfall. Been generally quite a miserable spring so far, so hopefully the last month can make up for that a little bit as we do head into summer. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you do stay safe out there over the weekend with the thunderstorms in places, and do enjoy your bank holiday weekend, and hopefully something a bit warmer and drier.